I can't tell you how lucky I am to have the staff that I have. We said, look, we're going to bring national attention upon this driver's license issue. You got to understand something. Outside of Jerusalem, New York State is the second largest terrorist target in the world. Period. That's it. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when and how hard we get hit. We have a Homeland Security Department. We have Homeland Security funds that are being used by states like Kansas, being used by states like Colorado to protect strip malls and buy buses. Meanwhile, our first line responders are underfunded, not prepared, and in many instances are not receiving the training they need from the federal government. That's a problem. And that's something that we need to come together on, not as Republicans, not as Democrats, but as New Yorkers, because we are going to get hit. In the wake of 9/11, Florida, Virginia, New Jersey, the states that issued driver's licenses to illegal aliens had an open driver's license program. Those terrorists, Mohammed Atma, the terrorists that attacked us, the 19 guys with box cutters, they didn't have New York State driver's licenses. They had to use loopholes in other states to attack us. And they used those loopholes. So the states that were embarrassed on 9/11 went in the opposite direction, and they secured, in coordination with the 9/11 Commission, they secured their driver's license program. Then this governor, with a mandate for reform, goes off the deep end. Literally, a kamikaze pilot without cruise control. And decides we're going to go ahead and extend driver's licenses not only to the 1 million illegal aliens that live in the state of New York, but to the terrorists that hide in their midst. And in many instances, the media wanted to talk about the illegal immigration issue. This was not only about the 1 million illegal aliens. It was about the terrorists that hide in their midst. And when 19 guys with box cutters can change your global history and take your nation and sink it into recession, that's a problem. We live in a different age. So we decided that we were going to have a hearing that week. I brought in Tom Tancredo, who was a presidential candidate at that time, a U.S. congressman. I brought in You Don't Speak for Me. I brought in 9/11 Families for a Secure America. We had a host of different national security experts. We decided to hold it in Manhattan. The day before we held this hearing, this was the first hearing in the state of New York. This is when Joe Bruno, a Republican, was still considering, he was quoted in the paper saying, it's not a bad idea. You got to remember this, folks. This is an issue nobody wanted to touch because they didn't want to be attacked as being called an extremist or a racist, right? That day, everybody was coming. My leader's office calls me and says, Greg, you're going to be alone. Nobody wants to touch it. This is God, this is history. I said, okay. This was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By 7 p.m., Fox News, CNN, New York Times, New York Post, all the major channels were going to be there. I called them up. I said, you may just want to know, CNN, Fox News. The next day, that hearing, we did not have enough room at the dais. In fact, they tried to take my seat. Leader Tedesco came, God bless him, he came, and my seat was right next to his. And I'm sitting there, and an older assemblyman came up to me and said, that's my seat. I said, my name placard is right in front of me. So the reality is that your assemblyman, who's been attacked again and again in the Journal News on this issue, our small staff, we started the firestorm on the driver's license proposal that brought that program to its knees. We started that media firestorm. That's an extraordinary accomplishment, okay? On the last issue, the next issue is the general issue of reforming Albany, and then I just want to talk quickly about what we do for constituents every day. Albany is dysfunctional. Look, the legislature has been prostituting themselves for decades. This governor's taken it to an all-new level. The reality is that the legislature has been prostituting themselves to special interests and the corrupt Albany insiders for decades. I had an old senator come up to me the next day. I won't tell you who. A lot of them, you know him. He walked up to me, and I'm like, hey, Senator, how are you? I'm always like this, in the halls. And he said, you SOB, how are you calling me a prostitute? I said, sir, was your name in the article? No. Then why do you feel that I was talking about you? I said, Senator, when's the last time you stood up to Joe Bruno? When's the last time? He got disgruntled and he walked away. This isn't about Greg Bull. It's never been about Greg Bull. The 99th Assembly District elected a man who's an independent. You elected a man who's a Republican, anti-tax, limited government, tough on crime. But when it comes to what's right in Albany, I represent all of you, and I represent the 20 million New Yorkers who have had enough. And that means that I have a target on my back that's the size of Texas. So we started something great today, right? We came together today. But I am asking you, get engaged in this campaign. I need each and every one of you by my side. That doesn't mean that you have to put 20 hours a day in every day. But if you can give me 8 hours every couple of weeks. You know the funny thing, I wasn't kidding and Fred knows it.
What about money?
Yeah, and money.
Money.
Everybody can give something and you have no idea. You know, we actually have, the vast majority of assemblymen, we were able to raise more than any other assemblyman in the minority in the last quarter. We continuously outpace our opponents. I do not do Albany fundraisers. I don't do fundraisers in the capital region. In fact, I'm introducing a bill next week to outlaw it. The other thing you can know about me is that you know how your mailboxes, you never hear from your assemblyman and senator until the election, and then the government mail just pours into your mailboxes. I took a pledge last election that I will not use my government franking during this campaign. So as soon as May comes up, I'm not using your taxpayer dollars to run my campaign. I'm going to use the dollars that are in your pocketbook. Okay? So the last part of this is constituent services, and this is what the Journal News never wants to talk about. We have 3 staffers and me. We have volunteers as part of the office. The part of this job that I absolutely adore, is the fact that the intensity with which my office, that I bring to whether it be illegal immigration, tax reform, reforming all of it, that same energy and passion we bring to being the advocate on a host of issues. I see Terry here. We're working very strong on the autism issues throughout the state of New York. It'll probably never be in the papers. And in some instances, it shouldn't be politicized, nor should it be. But there are families who need help, and they call. I had somebody, not on the autism issue, I had somebody call a few weeks back and they said, Greg, my child was sexually molested. They called me on my cell phone because I send my cell phone. And they had been working for 2 weeks, making phone calls. And they said, Greg, you're the only politician to answer his phone. You can use your position. You can use your title to help people. And there are people in this community who have never had an advocate. We have people who actually call from outside of the district office. And whether it be healthcare issues, whether it be insurance issues, whether it be workers' compensation issues, whether it be the issues of protecting your children, we're out there every day fighting for the people in this district across party lines and doing everything we absolutely can to use my office. And I have a note on my door that says, go see the chair in the assembly, go sit in it, take a picture. It's not mine, it's yours. You paid for it. And I feel the same way. When I have constituents come into my office, whether it be the mom, whether it be individuals that have problems with governments in the past, I say, this is my official letterhead. Let's write a letter, bring attention upon this issue, and help you. So that's what's never in the papers, and we're out there every day. I'm sorry for boring you a little bit, but I wanted to let you know what we're accomplishing.